for the hardest-hitting show in talk radio. The true progressive voice since 2012. This is Southpaws.
And welcome to Southpaws on the Pacifica Radio Network. We are the leaders of the revolution. I'm Darren Gibson.
My name is Jack Prince.
Yeah, Jack, thank you for joining me today. We have a lot of topics to discuss. Abortion in Arizona. We've got some Trump news. We've got some PFAS news, some great news. They're now limiting the amount of PFAS in your drinking water. That just happened today, so we'll talk about that. Medicare Disadvantage, we've got to talk about that because we're gonna shut it down, folks.
That's right.
It's gonna be you and me, Jack, against the world, but we're gonna shut down this Medicare Disadvantage crap.
You'll see we're picking up momentum, Darren, as the show goes on. You'll see some really positive notes we've got.
And you've got a great experience out of Cornerstone University involving Medicare Disadvantage, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit here. Oh, my goodness. This is going to be a packed show today. Before we get started with today's topics, a couple of reminders. You can follow us on social media by going to facebook.com/Southpaws Radio Show. You can follow us on X, the former Twitter, at Southpaws Radio. You can follow us on Tumblr at southpawsradioshow.tumblr.com. You can follow us on YouTube and Mastodon by doing a search for Southpaws Radio. You can become a patron of the show by going to patreon.com/Southpaws Radio. You can listen to the show anytime at Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Podcast Addict, Podvine, and Pandora by doing a search for Southpaws. Once you found our logo, you found us. We send links to our weekly episodes to our Facebook, X, Tumblr, YouTube, and Mastodon accounts. You can listen to us on Global Community Radio Channel 1 every Saturday night at 11 Eastern. And you can listen to us on great Pacifica stations, including KCEI in Taos, New Mexico, KZGM in Kabul, Missouri, and KEPJ in San Antonio, Texas. So be sure to listen to us on your local Pacifica affiliate. And before we get started, a reminder, we are recording this show on Wednesday, April 10th, 2024. So let's go ahead. We have been railing against Medicare Advantage, or we call it Medicare Disadvantage on this show because it's not an advantage to you folks. It's a disadvantage, a bad disadvantage. Oh, but you get dental and you get vision. No, not necessarily. Oh, but they got senior sneakers. Yeah, go join a gym. It's cheaper.
Yeah, here they are taking advantage of people that are so desperate that a $39 grocery cart or something is being used as bait to pull them into a private insurance company that we have gathered, both Darren and I, dozens of testimonies of people right here in our neighborhoods, right in Michigan, who've been denied coverage or have been delayed or go on a trip and have an accident and they're out of the network. All kinds of horror stories. We're battling a billion-dollar industry that's controlling the advertising and duping people into letting go of their social program that honors any bill, takes care of any claim immediately, and they're being pulled into an industry that makes more money if they pay out less claims. It's that simple.
Yes. And there is additional insurance available if you have traditional Medicare, Part A and B. It's called Part G.
Yeah,
Medigap. Yeah.
Yep. That's what I've got now.
Yeah. And, of course, Part D for your prescription drugs and things like that. So that's really all you need is A, B, D, and G. You don't need C. C is a scam.
No, you see.
C stands for con job.
Con job from Don. Don the con man has already expressed his intentions. If anybody's foggy about this, in the manifesto, the conservative manifesto called the 2025 Project, that says unequivocally, if he's elected, every retired 65-year-old will automatically now go into Medicare Advantage. They won't have to advertise 24/7. They won't have to have washed out celebrities and athletes get on and push their product. You won't need that because they'll just automatically be in Medicare Advantage, which will be the termination of Medicare.
Yeah,
it'll be done.
Those advertisements run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all year long. It used to be that you'd only hear them or see the commercials during the open enrollment periods or during the special enrollment period. Now we're past the special enrollment period. That ended March 31st, and we're still seeing these ads.
Yeah, the amount of money that we're talking about, the taxpayers are unwittingly handing over to private insurance companies that really, they have no idea they're even doing it. The government gives these insurance companies a big hunk of money once a year. And then what they do is they feed off of the insurance company, the private company. They very greedily break off little bits and pieces to pay for claims. But what they can keep at the end of the year, that's theirs. That's profit.
Yeah, it sure
and so,
is.
Medicare doesn't know what profit is. They're not designed for profit. They automatically pay any bill. Medicare Advantage says the least amount of money we pay for any bill is the most money we will make. Now, that's the sheer bottom line truth, but it's disguised with all these promos and all these fancy ads making you think for very little money you can get better coverage than you've got with traditional Medicare, and it's a lie. Mm-hmm. It's a lie that needs to be exposed. And Darren, for months, it's some personal experience with his mother suffering from this phenomena. But for months, he's been bringing this out, and it's gaining momentum. There's a letter that's being composed right now by a gentleman right here, and he does not mind me telling you, his name is Jose Flores, that we will have numerous people sign, and that'll be sent to the MEA, the complicit MEA, that sat silently while they substituted our insurance for Medicare Advantage.
Yep.
It happened to me and every public school teacher. It happened to Darren's mother, whose father was a carpenter for years and worked hard, had a good, solid plan. It was taken out from underneath his feet without anybody knowing about it until he started getting the bills, right?
Yeah, well, I know the MEA never informed you. The Michigan Education Association never informed the teachers. The carpenters just said this is going to happen, and this is going to happen on May 1st, and if you have any questions, call the Fringe Benefit Fund's office.
Yeah.
But how many carpenters do you know that did that?
No, I still run into teachers, somewhat intelligent human beings, have no idea what's going on. I'll mention to them, do you remember the name Bill Blasio? Yeah. He was a Democrat. He was governor of New York. Mm-hmm. Do you know what happened when he tried to privatize all of the public workers' health insurance? No, I have no idea, they say. Well, he did it by doing the same thing that you see on TV. He took their insurance and they gave it to private carriers that handle privatized insurance called Medicare Advantage. Mm-hmm. And thousands of protesters, that's right, thousands. You didn't see it on television because they get their money from the same industry, medical industry. They went in, stormed the not the Capitol, but the City Hall in New York, and they demanded that a judge ban the transmission of Medicare Advantage to take their place of traditional Medicare, and he did it. A Supreme Court judge, a Manhattan Supreme Court judge, banned Medicare Advantage, banned it because it's that terrible. Mm-hmm. And those hundreds of thousands of public workers are in debt to this judge because now they know when that dangerous and expensive cancer treatment is prescribed, that'll be covered. If they have a hip replacement, that'll be covered. It wouldn't have been covered with Medicare Advantage, and they knew it. They knew it. They knew in New York what they don't know in Michigan. Yeah. And here's the sadder thing, because this is something that I feel personally. I'm a retired teacher. The most amazing thing is that de Blasio was able to make the switch to Medicare Advantage for all these public workers with the help of the unions.
Yeah, because The unions are getting bamboozled by these insurance companies. Oh,
Exactly.
We can save you money. You ain't saving us any money.
And it saves the union money.
Yeah.
So what are they doing? They clandestinely push these things through. They discovered it in New York. They haven't really discovered it here. And instead of laying down and saying, well, we'll just roll the dice, we'll see what happens. You know, you get to be 75, we'll see what happens. Maybe it's covered, maybe. No, they know damn well sure in New York that those bills will be covered. I know that now because I have switched, and you can do it. We need this message out because there are people unwittingly that are embracing this Medicare Advantage, and it's going to come back and bite them in the most vulnerable time of their life. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I was telling you off air before we started recording. The Mount Pleasant, Michigan newspaper, the Mount Pleasant Sun, just published an article within the last day or two by a guy, I believe he's a CPA, that looked at the differences between traditional Medicare and Medicare Advantage. And he said you take traditional Medicare, especially if you travel, because if you travel and you go out of network, they don't pay a thing.
That's right.
If you need a referral to the Mayo Clinic, oh, too bad, it's not covered.
Exactly.
Cleveland Clinic for your heart, but too bad, that's not covered.
I think the basic foundational truth that somehow has been diminished is, who do you trust more? Do you trust a governmental social program that was passed way back with Johnson?
That has one of the highest approval ratings of any government program out there.
Yeah. Do you trust Social Security? Has it done a pretty good job for all these decades?
Absolutely.
Or do you want to hand your Social Security over to a private company? Because that's what Medicare Advantage is. It is a private company with stockholders. They don't care if you live or die. They care about their stockholders.
It's a whole bunch of private companies. It's all the insurance industry, all the medical insurance industry, Aetna, WellCare, you name it. They're all in on it. They all have their own version. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, Priority Health in Grand Rapids, they have their own version of it. They all do.
And people should pay attention. Do you know of the constant chorus of conservatives who have vowed to end Medicare? Do you think they gave up on that idea? One of them, the most recent, or not the most recent, but one of the most vociferous was George Bush.
Yeah.
He said, I'm going to privatize it, and he did. He knows that he was successful in privatizing Medicare. It's not completely over yet, but he put the wheels in motion. He did not privatize Social Security, and he said, that's my greatest regret. Another guy named Mike Lee, at a campaign speech in 2010 said, I am going to end Social Security and Medicare. I'm going to pull them out by the roots. That's a direct quote. I can go on. Anybody that's listening, Google things conservatives have said about Medicare. It's in their crosshairs. It's in the scope of their greatest dream to end Medicare.
No, we've talked about all the commercials that you see on TV. It's become even more heinous. There's apparently guys that are coming around to college campuses and giving lectures to people about Medicare disadvantage. Jack, you were one of those.
Yeah, I was indirectly invited. A friend who's still teaching invited me to go with him to a conference seminar. And the way that it is headlined is it's for your retirement plans, how to take care of and get the best out of Social Security. And then they say, and Medicare. So it sounds great, innocuous on the surface. And so there we were in a classroom in Cornerstone College, about 25 people. And they start out with, hope you're feeling well. You know, it's really a turbulent economic world out there. And your health needs are so important. And a guy that lives in a travel trailer, motorhome, I should say, that travels all over the country, was running a seminar. We got about 15 minutes in, and I said, I have to take exception with something that you're presenting there up on the screen, because you are making people think that Medicare Advantage means Medicare improved. Because isn't that what you'd say if you had a V8 and you put a cam in it, that would be your engine more proficient advantage. It'd be engine advantaged. So when you say Medicare Advantage, but are you willing to tell people here that Medicare Advantage is not Medicare? And he looked at me. He didn't know what to say at first. So he tried to say, well, technically. I said, no, just yes or no. Technically is a word that means you're not going to tell people the truth. I want you to tell the people the truth, because I don't know these people, but I'm 70 myself. We're all in the same boat. We need the truth. Is Medicare Advantage a private insurance company? Yes or no? And he had to admit it. And I saw people stir. I looked around and go, it is the slickest scam. Yeah, it's the slickest scam in the world. George Bush invented it. His billionaire, crony, conservative businessman said, we've got to fool the public somehow, making them think that we're not going to end a social program called Medicare because they're happy with it. So what are we going to do? We're going to steal its name. We're going to call it Medicare Advantage. You talk about a con job. You talk about a sleight of hand. It's the biggest that I've seen in my life, where the public is being completely deceived with nobody confronting it. I give Darren Gibson has been at this much longer than I have, and there's been a lot of truth dispersed and a lot of people to take advantage of it. But all of that would be less than the advantage that can be reaped if people will listen to his shows and listen to what's coming on in the future concerning Medicare Advantage. Stay away from it. Encourage your neighbors not to leave their Medicare and adopt Medicare Advantage. Tell them that is a scam to end this most beloved social program. Now, back to the room. Finally, then, what they tried to do then is make people think, well, the Social Security, as we all know, is going to go bankrupt, and so we really need to extend the age up to 70. I don't know what they're saying now, what it's supposed to be, 72, 73.
68, I've heard 72. I've heard a different bunch of numbers thrown at the wall.
And so really, the longevity of Social Security is paramount, and we have to extend the age of reaping benefits, and we have to realize that privatization can save it. And this is what many world leaders, they didn't even say Republicans, are talking about, is privatized benefits. And that's why Medicare Advantage, now they're turning the tables now, that suddenly private insurance is good. And so I stood up and I said, wait, just a minute. All you have to do is cut the lid off. Take the lid off of Social Security.
Yeah, there's a cap on Social Security taxes. If you make more than, I believe the number's of $150,000 a year, you don't pay on that income above $150,000.
Yeah, the most rich and wealthy people are paying no contribution to Social Security.
No, they're not.
They got all the money and they're not paying anything. The people that need the most, that have very little money, they're the ones who've paid all of their life. And now they're being told, well, to save it, we got to cut your benefit. We got to cut the amount of money you're going to get every month. And we're going to, nobody can take advantage of it to the 73, 74. I don't even know what the hell it is. And all they have to do is remove the lid that the conservatives put on right in Congress that said for years it was, I don't know, only anything over $70,000. If you made over $70,000, you did not pay any more, not a penny more, Social Security tax. You didn't pay any of it.
Yeah. And you know who the only person in the entire U.S. Congress is talking about removing the cap? There's only one. You know who that
Bernie
is,
Sanders.
right?
Yeah.
Bernard Sanders, independent Vermont.
Exactly. Okay, well, I can't imagine, and this is why this letter is going to Democrats, I can't imagine why they're not fighting for the middle class and preserving the social program. I talked to a Democrat at my college homecoming who's an alumnus, the same school I went to. I said, are you aware of what's going on? I can tell you, Senator Peters.
Yeah,
no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah, he goes, I didn't know anything about that. You didn't know that every school teacher's insurance was changed to Medicare Advantage. No, I didn't know that. No, I had no idea. And he said, well, we'll talk. Well, I called and we've talked. And I said, I'd love to have a seminar. I'll have teachers here in Grand Rapids. No, I can't do that. I can't do that. You know what it is.
Because his donors, his insurance company donors, the people that are the ones that pay his money, got to him.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't work for us. They work for big corporations.
You saw that article I wrote. Something like 60% of Congress cashed pharma checks. Money from large pharmaceutical cashed them. And a little less, I think 40% of them had stock or had interest in the private medical insurance. Both sides of the aisle. And the next time a Republican comes to you and say, we're so worried about Social Security, we think that we should extend the age of taking advantage, and we really have got to cut back on the benefits. So people today, they lose a little money, but down the road, people will still be getting checks. You say, ho. You're so concerned about Social Security. Why did George Bush go and take $1.3 trillion out of Social Security? This isn't complicated. Took it out and never repaid it.
Yeah.
He's worried about Social Security's longevity, but he takes almost not $1 billion, $1.5 trillion to cover the tax cuts that he gave billionaires, and now we're going to have more cuts. Not to the billionaires; they still have a cap on. They don't have to pay Social Security. The lowest on the rung are the ones that are going to bleed the most. Yeah. It's unbelievable. I have seen corruption. Particularly since Trump has been hanging around Washington. But when you uncover this whole scam, it's such a nexus between our government leaders, our politicians, our elected legislatures, and corporate America. It is such a filthy connection, so ugly, that it ruins my confidence in there ever being freedom. I know there's Bernie Sanders, and there's some other people that claim they're speaking out. There's a woman, Governor, I can't think of it, somewhere out in California, a Democrat that's fighting hard against Medicare Advantage. There was a panel of 8 Democrats that went in front of Congress. You never saw it covered on any so-called liberal shows.
No.
For a whole day. The incongruities and the deception in advertising in Medicare Advantage. They brought it to it. It was presented. No feedback. No, we'll listen to Marjorie Taylor Greene talk about how Ukraine can screw itself, all day long. But we have no memory, because it wasn't even seen, of these Democrats railing against Medicare Advantage. There's a few of them out there, thank goodness.
Yeah,
it's going to kill us all.
It is. And instead, from the news, we get the adulterers like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert.
Yeah.
The adulterers. Yeah, really. Adulterers.
Yeah. The only hand that Lauren Boebert ever gave was a shot to the guy next to her in a movie theater. You know how appreciative I am of what you're doing, because unlike many supposed progressive outlets, you're hitting on something that is so important, so vital.
Yeah, we're going to be hitting on a lot of vital stuff here. Speaking of, can we go on to our next story here?
Sure, absolutely.
But first you gotta give us the kicker about how 2 goons started coming your way down the aisle when you were at this Cornerstone University shindig. Yeah,
see, I was really upset because when I went in, they had breakfast donuts, right? And I got a donut, it looked like it was caramel. But when I got to my seat, it was caramel with little bits of bacon on it. I go, what the hell? That's terrible. I tried to pick the bacon off, so I was really upset. and then when they brought lunch, by the time I got out of my chair, because I was talking to some other people that were curious, there were no sandwiches left. So we're presenting the truth. And suddenly there's 2 of these guys headed down the aisle, coming right for me. And I knew what they were going to do. They were going to ask me to leave. They'd already asked me to leave. Now I think they were going to forcefully make me leave. Mm-hmm. And I just held my hands up. So hold on. I'll go. You give me a sandwich for the road. I'm out of here.
No.
I will leave peacefully. And I should have said you had the crappiest donuts I've ever seen. Who would put bacon on top of a donut?
Oh, there's a donut shop that used to be around in downtown Grand Rapids that would. I've actually had one. Not too bad.
Really?
Don't knock it till you try it. Oh wait, you're vegan. You can't have any of that. So.
Well, yeah, I'll eat meat every once in a while, but it just doesn't seem very appetizing. But that really wasn't the worst part, as you understand, Darren, like nobody else. That wasn't the worst part of that performance. That was the biggest con job, and they did not expect us to be there. So it was fun.
Well, that's great. They need to be confronted in public when they pull this kind of crap.
Exactly. Yeah.
Speaking of pulling crap, let's talk about the Arizona Supreme Court. Listen to this. They're going to take women all the way back to 1864, back when the Civil War was still raging. A near total abortion ban with an exception for the life of the mother. No exception for rape, no exception for incest, none of that. Thankfully, they've got Democrats in charge who aren't going to prosecute anybody, but that could change if they replace the attorney general with a Republican. That's going to go away.
Let's see, that year, wasn't dueling still legal in the United States?
Oh, probably.
Didn't women get, I think legally women had no entitlement in a divorce. They could not claim any property.
Nope.
So there were a lot of other good things going on along with that
women didn't get the right to vote until 1920.
Well, there you go.
It wasn't until 1974 that women could get a credit card on their own without their husband's permission.
So go in the dark ages and get a rule. Bring it back. Bring it to life. Real smart.
Yeah. Back in 1864, they were still hitching horses to the post outside the saloon,
Yeah, they were still bloodletting. They thought it was healthy when you went to get your hair cut if they cut your wrist and a little blood come out for an hour.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Yeah, let me read this story here. This is Jacques Ballou and Morgan Lee writing for the Associated Press. This is dated April 10th out of Phoenix. The Arizona Supreme Court has delivered a landmark decision in giving the go-ahead to enforce a long-dormant law that bans nearly all abortions, drastically altering the legal landscape for terminating pregnancies in the state. The law predating Arizona's statehood provides no exceptions for rape or incest and allows abortions only if the mother's life is in jeopardy. Arizona's highest court suggested doctors can be prosecuted under the 1864 law, though the opinion written by the court's majority didn't explicitly say that. The Tuesday decision threw out an earlier lower court decision that concluded doctors couldn't be charged for performing abortions in the first 15 weeks of pregnancy. So this is, there's a whole long story about how this got to this point. Because they basically have recodified this law a couple of different times over the years. The last one was in like the early 19-teens or something like that. And that's when they said, okay, now we'll have the exception for the life of the mother. Because originally it was a total ban, but then they recodified the law twice.
To parallel this, aren't they trying to reenact or strengthen, energize what I think is called the Comstock law? Are you familiar with that?
The Comstock Act, yep.
You can't mail any suggestive or questionable material through the mail. That was antiquated too. I don't know how old that sucker was, but this is what they're trying to get to stop the distribution of abortion tablets.
Of mifepristone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So go back and dig out some old, dusty, ridiculous law. That's why we're called progressives, folks. We progressed from those kinds of laws, and they want to jump back into those laws.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, this is crazy stuff. Under this 1864 law, it says that the law orders prosecution for a person who provides, supplies, or administers to a pregnant woman or procures such woman to take any medicine, drugs, or substance, or uses or employs any instrument or other means whatever, with intent thereby to procure the miscarriage of such woman unless it is necessary to save her life. I believe the punishment's 5 years in prison.
Wow. Yeah, here you are, old-time Arizona, Tombstone. Wear a gun, wear a 6-shooter on your side, Keep those little women back home, cook them brownies, and you try to mess with my woman, pregnancy, well, rest your ass. I mean, it is dark. It is so dark. And that will be the prototype. If Trump is reelected, he's sitting on a fence right now pretending that we'll just leave this up to states' rights, because that would be the people's decision then.
No, that's not true. He's going to be all for a nationwide ban. He's not saying it now because he knows that he won't get elected.
That's exactly right. Yep.
Some good news out of Arizona. The past summer, abortion rights advocates began a push to ask Arizona voters to create a constitutional right to an abortion. If they collect enough signatures, Arizona would be the latest state to put the question of reproductive rights directly before voters. This proposed constitutional amendment would guarantee abortion rights until a fetus could survive outside the womb, typically around 24 weeks. It would also allow later abortions to save the mother's life or to protect her physical or mental health. So, wow, up to 24 weeks you can get an abortion under this. This is beautiful.
Yeah.
Sorry, beautiful. I'll say it again. Beautiful.
Yes, it is. And what's the most beautiful in my eyes is this could be the anathema for Trump's reelection. There's too many women that are being fooled by the orange monkey, and I think this could be Waterloo.
Yeah.
Particularly in Arizona. It was real close. Remember the last election? It was only like 2% separated him. And there's a lot of women that are Republican that say, this is my body. And they're starting to wake up to the fact that the authoritarian Republicans want to own their body and the rights of their body and their rights for creation, their rights for fertility, all of it. It's shocking.
Yeah, indeed it is. I tell you what, let's move off of Arizona right now. I want to get... We've been the champion on this show for telling people about Medicare Disadvantage, what it really is. Something else we have been a champion of on this show is exposing the dangers of PFAS.
Mm-hmm.
This story just came out on April 10th. This is Michael Phillips writing for the Associated Press. Listen to this. The Biden administration, not Trump. Trump didn't do it. Biden did. Let me just repeat that. Biden did this. The Biden administration on Wednesday finalized strict limits on certain so-called forever chemicals in drinking water that will require utilities to reduce them to the lowest level they can be reliably measured. Officials say this will reduce exposure for 100 million people and help prevent thousands of illnesses, including cancers. The rule is the first national drinking water limit on toxic PFAS, or perfluoroalkyl and polyfluoroalkyl substances, which are widespread and long-lasting in the environment. Just ask the people in Belmont, Michigan. They'll tell you about that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which we've covered that on this show back in 2017.
Yes, we did.
Health advocates praised the Environmental Protection Agency for not backing away from tough limits the agency proposed last year. But water utilities took issue with the rule, saying treatment systems are expensive to install and that customers will end up paying more for water. Oh, darn. I guess we need to put more money in infrastructure then, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
And lower the
cheaper
cost
than
for
radiation
people.
Treatments.
Yep. Water providers are entering a new era with significant additional health standards that the EPA says will make tap water safer for millions of consumers, a Biden administration priority. The agency has also proposed forcing utilities to remove dangerous lead pipes. This is great. Just like we've seen in Flint, Benton Harbor, mostly communities of color where they're still running lead water lines through the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And not upgrading the infrastructure again.
Benton Harbor.
Yep. Utility groups warn the rules will cost tens of billions of dollars each and fall hardest on small communities with fewer resources. Legal challenges are sure to follow. I'm sure they will, and I'm sure they're going to try and throw as much money as they can, but sorry, this is the new rule now, folks.
Thank you. Thank you, Biden.
Yeah.
He reduced the amount of money for insulin that he has. I don't know how many hundreds of, I guess billions of dollars of relief for students that will leave their college career and can breathe financially because of his work.
Yeah. If you have asthma, your inhaler cost is now capped at $35 from 3 of the major manufacturers.
Yeah. And on the other side,
that was Joe Biden, and that was Bernie Sanders. You
have an orange mouth liar who is selling golden tennis shoes, right?
And Bibles.
And a Bible. and a Bible. A guy that we know boinked a porn star while his wife was pregnant. Has the audacity to hold a Bible up and identify. Now, I don't put any stock in the holiness of the Bible, don't get me wrong. But what a contrast to see that con man holding the Bible.
Yeah, and selling them.
Yeah, I know. To get out of legal trouble that he's guilty of.
Yeah, exactly. It's unreal.
It is.
Yeah.
You couldn't write this. You could not make a movie like this.
No. Well, I think they already did. It was called Idiocracy.
Yeah, that's true. Or Billy Sunday.
Oh, goodness. EPA Administrator Michael Regan said the rule is the most important action the EPA has ever taken on PFAS, saying, quote, "The result is a comprehensive and life-changing rule, one that will improve the health and vitality of so many communities across our country," end of quote. PFAS chemicals are hazardous because they don't degrade in the environment and are linked to health issues such as low birth weight and liver disease, along with certain cancers. The EPA estimates the rule will cost about $1.5 billion to implement each year, but doing so will prevent nearly 10,000 deaths over decades and significantly reduce serious illness.
Yeah.
PFAS is used in everyday products including nonstick pans, firefighting foam, and waterproof clothing. Although some of the most common types are phased out in the U.S., others remain. Water providers will now be forced to remove contamination put into the environment by other industries. We've talked about that on this show.
Yeah.
My idiot neighbor putting human waste on his fields as fertilizer for his crops. Human waste that contains PFAS from the manufacturing industry, from funeral homes, from everywhere.
From Hush Puppy in Rockford that made shoes for decades. They were using it as a water retardant.
If you don't
Everybody's
believe us,
got it.
Yeah.
Everybody's got it in their bloodstream. Every American has it. There's not an American that doesn't have PFAS in their body.
Yeah.
They don't realize that. And it's not surprising. The company that developed it, so they'd have no stick frying pans, DuPont, put a chemical factory on the Ohio River, somewhere. I don't know exactly, maybe West Virginia, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And for years, that factory produced or tried to produce PFAS, and all the remnants of their experiments were flowing down the Ohio River into the Ohio Valley. Here, we had it used a dust retardant. We had it, the airport in Oscoda used it on their runways to keep for fire protection.
The Air Force Base up north used it for firefighting.
Oscoda, it's ubiquitous. We've got it. It's in us. It's been in us. And the first real direct action to do anything about it emanates from Sleepy Joe, right?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
I say Sleepy Joe sarcastically because he does more.
You kind of worried me there for a second.
No. They dare call him Sleepy.
Yeah.
What he did while everybody else was sleeping is noteworthy. That's a real step for people.
It is. And here's the thing. When they originally created this, wasn't it supposed to be some sort of nonstick that they were going to put on tanks? And didn't DuPont at one point say, or whoever produced this said, do not ever use this for human consumption?
Yeah, right.
So what does DuPont do? Teflon. We got to put Teflon on the pans to keep your food from sticking to it.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, I was married to a woman whose dad worked for years for DuPont. I could tell you stories out of Delaware. But suffice it to say, it started as a dynamite factory, the whole company.
Oh, geez.
So the destruction that they have done health-wise is so quiet. It's not spoken much. Then we had the same family from the same area that developed the pain reliever, Oxycontin, that killed I don't know how many million people.
Yeah.
And they got a hand slap because they had the billionaire lawyers back their butts up. Here's a definite step to end the poisoning of the American public. Yeah. That's what they should be talking about tonight, but they won't be. They'll be at a rally somewhere, and Trump will be talking about how dastardly the judges are. They're all corrupt. Every one of them are after him. They all hate. They hate. They're Trump haters.
It's a witch hunt. Yeah, the big orange witch is right in front of us. We can see him.
Yeah. No, it's crucial, folks. It really is. We've always said the truth has set you free. The truth now is going to save you. The truth about this PFAS that now Mr. Biden has stopped because of him knowing how desperately needed a ban was on this PFAS. He did something about it. Now that's the truth, and that will save lives. Yeah. That will save lives. Darren Gibson marched into a gym in Rockford and listened to the testimony of people who suffered from the abundance of intake of a chemical called PFAS that hardly anybody knew. This was, 10 years ago, Darren?
2017.
2017. And then he talked about it. Yeah. He showed how important it was to fight against PFAS. And all these years later, we have somebody doing something about it. It's an incredible applause to Biden, but also to Southpaws, because you were there. I remember you took on the Channel 8 news reporters, and the truth stings, but the truth saves.
Yep. PFAS is a broad family of chemical substances. The new rules set strict limits on two common types called PFOA and PFOS at 4 parts per trillion. 3 other types that include Gen X chemicals that are a major problem in North Carolina are limited to 10 parts per trillion. Water providers will have to test for these PFAS chemicals and tell the public when levels are too high. Combinations of some PFAS types will be limited too. The head of the EPA is going to make this announcement in Fayetteville, North Carolina on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Which is probably happening now as we record, or already happened earlier this afternoon.
Yeah. You'll have to hunt to find it, but it'll be there. And now the conservatives are talking, well, that's just going to raise the price of the Big Mac. You know that, don't you? You can't have all these restrictions on water and not think you're going to pay for it at McDonald's.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I am so sick of hearing about how all these corporations are going to hurt. The $20 minimum wage for fast food in California is going to hurt our businesses.
Yeah.
This is from people who own 21 McDonald's stores in California. I'm sorry. I'm not feeling sorry for you. You have 21 stores.
And tell your Republican neighbor to hold their bullcrap about the high price of gas being Biden's fault. If I hear that, I'm going to have a breakdown. The high price of gas is because Saudi Arabia, who loves Donald Trump, cut production by 40%, knowing they will raise gas prices. It went up 40 cents, Darren, from yesterday.
Yep.
It's $3.39 yesterday. It's $3.79, even higher today. And there's only one reason for that. They're cutting the production, which is guaranteed to raise the price. And between now and the election, the Saudi Arabians will continue to do that so that you can get your little sticker, conservative, and stick it on the gas pump and say, this is Biden's fault. Yep. Nothing is farther from the truth.
Hey, I still have my Putin stickers that say I did that. I do. Time to start putting those up again. Because guess who else cut production? Russia.
No surprise there.
Yeah.
No surprise. The Russians, they have now a wing in the Congress called Putin's wing.
Yeah.
And that's not hyperbole.
No. And this got people like Marjorie Trader Green and Bobo and all these other right-wing nut jobs, Matt Gaetz. Sorry, they're all part of it. They all are. It's not even a wing, Jack. It's the whole damn Republican Party. Sympathizers of Russia. You'd think that if Ronald Reagan heard that, if he was alive now and heard what the Republicans are saying, just praising Putin.
Yeah.
they would call Reagan a liberal today.
Oh, he would be.
Yeah.
He'd be classified as a liberal. So would McCain, and so would Goldwater.
Yeah.
Goldwater would be a raging, bleeding heart liberal.
Yeah, they'd call them pinkos.
Goldwater warned people of the nexus between government and fundamentalist religion.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah. Unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah. It is.
Yeah. Hey,
so far, so fast.
Hey, I've got some more good news. This comes from the Federal Communications Commission. This story is by Cora Lewis of the Associated Press. This is dated April 10th as well. You're going to see new labels for your internet service, thanks to new rules adopted by the Federal Communications Commission this week. So it's going to be just like nutritional labels on food products. It's going to be broadband labels so that they tell you what you're paying for and what you're getting for what you're paying for. And this starts today. It has to be on, it says here, internet service providers selling home access or mobile broadband plans will be required to have a label for each plan beginning April 10th. The labels will be mandated to appear at any point of sale, including online and in stores. They'll be required to disclose all pricing information, including introductory rates, data allowances, and speeds. The labels will also include links to information about network management practices and privacy policies. So here's what the label will contain: the monthly price and contract length, whether that price will change after a certain period and what it will change to, a complete list of monthly and one-time fees and early termination fees, whether the company participates in the Affordable Connectivity Program and link to check if one qualifies, typical download and upload speeds and latency, data cap and price beyond that cap, and links to network management, including zero rating and content blocking and privacy policies. Like I said, this all takes effect. Some firms that have less than 100,000 subscribers have until October 10th of this year to comply with the new FCC rules.
Wow.
So this is good news.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, more information for the consumer. That's what we need.
That's the battle. That's the media job for democracy, the information to the public. That's why there's such a battle going on to stop it.
Yeah. Yep. You mentioned a little bit earlier about Biden canceling student loan. Can we talk about that for a little bit here?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I've got this story. This is Colin Binkley writing for the Associated Press, dated April 8th out of Washington. President Joe Biden is taking another shot at student loan cancellation, hoping to deliver on a key campaign promise that he has so far failed to fulfill. Now, wait a minute. He's already canceled debt for some people. So how has he failed to fulfill this? Because he didn't get everybody that he wanted?
Well, it's not like Republicans opened the door for him to do it.
No, he's getting sued again by the states.
Yep.
Yeah. In a visit to Wisconsin on Monday, Biden detailed a proposal that would cancel at least some debt for more than 30 million Americans. It's been in the works for months after the Supreme Court rejected Biden's first try at mass cancellation. Biden called the court's decision a mistake, but ordered the Education Department to craft a new plan using a different legal authority. The latest proposal is more targeted than his original plan, focusing on those for whom student debt is a major obstacle. So this is what the new plan targets: 5 categories of borrowers, focusing on those believed to be in the greatest need of help. Let's see, who's eligible? 5 categories of borrowers. The widest-reaching provision aims to reset student loan balances for borrowers who have seen their debt grow because of unpaid interest. It would cancel up to $20,000 in interest for Americans who now owe more than they originally borrowed.
Amen.
That cap would not apply to individuals who make less than $120,000 a year or couples who earn less than $240,000 a year and also are enrolled in an income-driven repayment plan. The Education Department says 25 million people would be eligible for that relief, including 23 million who would get their interest erased entirely. So that's good news.
Yeah.
Borrowers who are eligible for other federal forgiveness programs but haven't applied would also get their loans canceled under the new proposal. It applies to the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program and income-driven repayment plans, among others. It's meant to help people who missed out on forgiveness because of complex paperwork, bad advice, or other obstacles. That would help an estimated 2 million people. All debt would be canceled for borrowers who have been repaying undergraduate loans for 20 years or more, or 25 years for those with graduate school debt. The Biden administration said it would erase loans for more than 2 million people. Those who attended college programs of low financial value would be eligible for forgiveness. The plan would cancel debt for borrowers who went to institutions that lost eligibility for federal education funding because they cheated students. It would also cancel loans for people who went to college programs that left graduates with low incomes compared to their student loans. So they're helping out the students that have been scammed.
Yeah.
Trump University, one of them. A final category would cancel loans for Americans facing hardship that prevents them from repaying their student loans. The rule would allow the Education Department to cancel debt for borrowers who are considered highly likely to default on their loans, and it would create an application system for individuals to detail other forms of hardship. Again, this isn't a sure thing because there are now 7 states that are suing Biden over this exact plan, one of them being Missouri.
There's nothing you can do to enhance the economy. These people get a cut on their debt. They'll turn right around and buy a house with it. They'll buy goods. They'll buy a car. They take that debt off. You couldn't do anything. But, instead of giving tax breaks to oil companies, I saw today one of the Saudi Arabians has a solid white gold sports car.
Jeez.
It goes 100 miles an hour in less than 3 seconds. And, I'm paying $4 a gallon for gas to keep Trump in office. And this idiot with 16 wives is driving a golden car.
Wow.
So let's give them some more tax breaks, right? Mm-hmm. But let that college couple that's got $80,000 in debt, let them sweat and moan, let their marriage suffer, let their kids suffer, because they got to bleed money to keep the billionaire Saudi Arabians in power. It's a circle of corruption that just rolls and rolls and rolls.
Shell Oil gets $2 billion every year from the U.S. government in subsidies.
Yeah, $2 billion. Exactly.
I don't want to hear about, but we need to cut welfare for Bob over here. No, you need to cut Shell off.
Exactly. Yeah, or the private health insurance companies, to go back to where we started today.
Yeah.
They're making billions of profit.
It's really
people
that
can't
simple.
Afford prescriptions.
Yeah.
They either eat or they don't get their tablets.
Yeah. And it really is that choice they're making. We're not exaggerating this.
No, not at all.
Jeez. I want to get to this next story here, Jack, because we are running a little bit on time. Can you believe that Jennifer and James Crumbley both got sentenced to 10 to 15 years in prison because they allowed their son access to a gun and he committed a school shooting? This is great news. This is putting
more good news.
This is putting parents, you have to have control over guns in your home.
Oh, Darren, be careful. You just use the word control and gun in the same sentence. That's a dangerous combination. You're right. This is gun control. Parents being responsible, making sure the thing is locked up. This is a gun control decision. And I've been putting it out on Facebook to these idiots arguing against it, saying this is exactly what we'll do next with AR-15s. We won't let people have those either. That's gun control. We're not talking gun elimination. We're talking gun control.
Yeah.
Gun control, like Australia. Was that a school shooting? They banned the AR-15, 60% drop in mass shootings or in high school and school shootings immediately registered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's that simple. Or the law in Michigan now. If you have a gun and it is accessible to children, it has to be locked up. If something happens, it's your ass on the line.
Exactly.
We just had one just right up here, right close to me, Jack. A 6-year-old and a 5-year-old playing at Grandma and Grandpa's house. The 6-year-old found a gun and shot his 5-year-old relative and killed him. And now Grandma and Grandpa are probably going to go to prison for several years over this. And let me add, deservedly so.
Yeah, exactly. But if you wonder about really the thinking of the Cromwells, read the open letter mailed to Donald J. Trump from Mrs. Cromwell, who praised him for his protection of guns, not allowing any gun control. It's out there. It's public record. It's empirical. You can look it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got what they needed, what they deserved. I heard some of the testimony of the parents, and it's heartbreaking.
Yep. You know what I wished? I wish they would have given consecutive sentences on that. Instead of 10 to 15, they'd be serving 40 to 60 if I was the judge, because I'd make them serve them one right after the other. Well,
the proliferation of guns has not reduced the killing statistics in any way.
No.
And yet 57% of Americans in 2021 wanted stricter gun laws. 32% said keep the laws like they are. Only 10 said we want less control, less laws on guns. In 2021, 48,830 people died from gun-related injuries. Almost 50,000 people. In the United States, there's more guns than people. We lead the world in guns per person at a rate of 120 guns to 100 residents. We have more guns. We have more guns than people.
Wow.
The next highest is a country called Yemen, which is like the Wild West. They have 52.8 guns per 100 people. Canada has 34.7 guns per people. But these conservative yahoos will keep saying, "Well, it ain't the gun. It ain't the gun. It's the people." What's so different with American people and Yemen or Canadian people? I think the Canadian people are pretty damn close. Their culture is very similar to ours. Why do they only need 34% of the guns? It's there so clear, but the saying that I know we're almost out of time, I'll repeat before I finish here is, there's nothing more foolish than the obvious to those who are unwilling to admit the truth.
Yeah.
These numbers go on and they prove one salient thing. We're gun crazy. We have too many guns. They're too easy to get. Insane people can get them. We glorify them. We have churches worshiping them, literally taking machine guns up at the altar and worshiping them. I'm not exaggerating.
No, I've seen it. It's
but
disgusting.
I don't want to get too far into this. Yeah, it's maddening.
Yep. So goodbye to Jennifer and James Crumbley. You deserve it.
Yep. I agree.
And our final story, because I know you want to talk about John Whale Feces Gibbs, the former Ottawa County administrator. He is now suing the Ottawa County Board of Commissioners and Board Chair Joe Moss for retaliating against him by firing him. He says that the board retaliated against him for exercising his First Amendment right to freedom of speech, violated Michigan's Whistleblower Protection Act, and he's also suing him for breach of contract when he was fired without cause. So more good money after bad being spent in good old Ottawa County.
Yeah, what a clown show. What a despicable clown show. What a repudiation of a civil and responsible government.
Well, Jack, it was really nice having you on the show today. I really appreciate you coming on to talk about Medicare Disadvantage and with all the other topics that we've had today. It's been a blast.
Well, hey, thanks. I always appreciate that and enjoy being with you, Darren. Keep up the work, buddy.
I will. All right, that's going to be it for this week. We'll be back next week. I'm Darren Gibson.
I'm Jack Prince.
Please support independent media, the First Amendment, and a woman's right to choose.
The stations that carry Southpaws do not necessarily share the opinions expressed on the show. Southpaws is protected by the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution and is copyrighted by Big D Entertainment. All rights reserved.